Hello there, and thank you for spending a little time with me today. You know, all our lives we hear about getting our numbers right, don't we? Cholesterol, weight, and of course, that big one, blood pressure. For decades, we've all been told that there's one perfect number we should be aiming for. But what if I told you that for some of us, chasing that perfect number might not be the healthiest thing to do? It's a story that gets to the very heart of what really matters.
So here's the question we're going to gently explore together. That number, 120/80, we've all heard it, right? It's been called the gold standard for so long. And for many people, it's a perfectly fine goal. But what science is now discovering is that for those of us in our 70s, 80s, and beyond, chasing that number might not just be unhelpful, it might actually be dangerous. Let's unpack this together, nice and easy.
To really understand why this is so important, I want to introduce you to a lovely woman named Margaret. This quote is from her daughter, and it just breaks your heart, doesn't it? But her story is so incredibly important because it reminds us that true health isn't just a number on a machine. It's about feeling good. It's about our independence. It's about our quality of life.
So let's spend a little time with Margaret's story. It truly shines a light on what can happen when we focus too much on a number and not enough on how our own bodies are feeling. My hope is that by understanding what happened to her, we can help keep you or someone you dearly love safe and sound.
Okay, now take a look at this. Before her doctor made a change to her medication, Margaret's blood pressure was around 152/88. A little high by the book, right? But you know what? At that number, Margaret felt wonderful. She was living independently, driving her car, visiting her friends. She felt strong. Then the focus became getting that number down. She hit 122/78, and the doctor was thrilled. It was perfect. But Margaret didn't feel perfect. She felt dizzy. And here is the heartbreaking path that followed. Her doctor, with the very best intentions, was so happy with that perfect number. But when Margaret mentioned her dizziness, she was told, "Oh, that's just a normal part of getting older." But it wasn't. And then, the worst happened. One night, around 3 in the morning, she got up to use the bathroom. That dizziness caught her off guard, and she fell. She broke her hip. And that one single fall, it started everything. Surgery, a long and difficult stay in a rehab center. She never got back to her own home. She lost her precious independence. And just 6 months later, she passed away from pneumonia. And it all began with that chase for a perfect number.
Margaret's story is just so sad, but it's also a really powerful teacher. It teaches us that our bodies are incredible and unique, especially as we get a bit more life experience under our belts. The same old rules just might not apply anymore. So let's take a calm and simple look at why our bodies are different as we age and why one size just doesn't fit all.
Here's a really simple way to picture what's going on inside. Think of your arteries when you were younger. They were like a brand new stretchy rubber band, super flexible. But after many wonderful years, our arteries become a little more like a rubber band that's been sitting in a drawer for a while. They get a little stiffer. And because they're not as flexible, it sometimes takes just a little more pressure to make sure enough blood gets all the way up to our brain to keep it happy and healthy.
Our bodies also have these amazing little things called pressure sensors. You can just think of them as a tiny thermostat for your blood pressure. When you stand up from a chair, they're supposed to kick in instantly to keep the pressure steady so you don't feel woozy. But as we get older, that thermostat can get just a little sluggish. Its reaction time slows down. And that tiny little delay, that's what causes that sudden dizzy spell that so many of us have felt. So let's just quickly put it all together. Here are the key things to remember. First, our arteries are a bit stiffer. Second, those little pressure sensors are a bit slower. Third, our bodies can be much more sensitive to medications than when we were younger. And this last one is the most important of all. Our biggest health risks change. For many older adults, the immediate, life-changing danger of a fall is a much bigger threat than the very long-term risk of slightly higher blood pressure. Now, I want you to know this isn't just an idea or a hunch. This new way of thinking is backed by really important new research, studies that looked only at older adults. And this is where things get really exciting, because the science is finally catching up to what so many people have been feeling in their own bodies for years. You see, for the longest time, all the rules about blood pressure came from studies that were done on middle-aged people. They just didn't include enough folks over 75 to know if the rules should be different. But now, thankfully, they've done new studies that focus specifically on seniors, and what they found is giving us a much wiser, much safer way to look at our health. And here it is. This is the big, surprising discovery. When researchers looked at thousands of people over the age of 75, they found something amazing. The
The people who lived the longest and had the fewest serious problems were the ones whose top blood pressure number was actually between 130 and 140. We can call that the sweet spot. Pushing the number lower, below 120, actually led to a higher risk of problems, including falls. Isn't that something? That slightly higher number was actually protected.
Okay, so what in the world does this mean for you personally? If 120 isn't always the magic number, then what is? Well, let's look at some of these new, gentler goals. This is all about finding your personal sweet spot, the number that keeps you feeling good, feeling strong, and staying safe.
This little chart here gives us a really helpful place to start a conversation. For healthy folks between 65 and 75, that sweet spot seems to be in the 130 to 140 range. As we get into our late 70s and early 80s, it might be a little higher, say 135 to 145. And for our loved ones who are over 85, or perhaps a bit more frail, a safe number might even be between 140 and 150. You see how the goal shifts? It becomes all about safety and enjoying life.
Now, please listen very carefully to this part. This is the most important thing I will say today. These numbers are just guidelines. They are a starting point for a conversation with your doctor. They are absolutely not rules to follow on your own. Your body is unique, and your doctor knows your full health story. Please, I ask you, never ever change your medication or your dose by yourself. This is just information to help you and your doctor work together as a team. To help you be a great partner with your doctor, I want to show you a very simple little test you can do right at home. It's easy, I promise, and it can give you a really good clue about whether your blood pressure might be dipping too low when you stand up, which we now know is a major cause of that scary dizziness.
It has a big, fancy medical name, orthostatic hypotension. But that's just a mouthful for something very simple. All it means is that your blood pressure takes a quick dip when you go from lying down to standing up. And this little dip is the #1 cause of dizziness and falls in seniors, just like the fall that Margaret had. Knowing if this is happening to you is such a powerful piece of information.
Okay, here's how you do it. It's so easy. First, just lie down on your bed or the sofa. Get comfortable and just rest quietly for about 5 minutes. Then, while you're still lying flat, take your blood pressure and write down the numbers. Okay, next step, stand up nice and steady, and right away, as soon as you're on your feet, take your blood pressure one more time. That's all there is to it.
Now, you've got your 2 sets of numbers. What you're looking for is a clue. Look at the top number from when you were lying down and compare it to the top number from when you were standing up. Did that top number drop by more than 20 points? If it did, that's a little flag. It's a sign worth paying attention to.
Now, don't be alarmed. A drop of more than 20 points is simply a really important piece of information to share with your doctor. It just means your body might be a little extra sensitive and that you're at a higher risk of getting dizzy and possibly falling. It's exactly the kind of clue your doctor wants to have so they can work with you to keep you safe and on your feet.
And finding this out can lead to a wonderful new chapter. Let me tell you about a gentleman named Thomas. He was 74, and he was always feeling dizzy. He did the simple test, saw the big drop, and brought the numbers to his doctor. They made one tiny adjustment to his medicine. His blood pressure came up just a little bit, and his dizziness vanished. He said he felt fantastic again. And his last line says it all. My quality of life had dramatically improved. That's what actually matters most.
So we end with a simple question for you to ponder. The whole point of our little chat today wasn't to give you medical advice. It was to give you knowledge. It was to give you confidence. It was to empower you to walk into your next doctor's visit and say, you know, I learned something interesting. Can we talk about what the best blood pressure goal is for me right now? That conversation, working as a partner with your doctor, that is the very best way to make sure you live a long, happy, and most importantly, a safe life. Thank you so much for listening.